website conversions. The percentage of traffic that you convert on your website is a huge factor in how many leads you get. And often people do not realize what a boost to your lead numbers it is if you can even get 1% more of the people on your website to call or get an estimate with your business. My name is Josh Thompson. I'm the owner of Brightbeam SEO, local search experts, where we focus on Google Maps and local search strategies for home service businesses and contractors. So in this video, I want to talk about conversions and how to make sure your website is optimized, take it up a level, even better than just generally optimized. And then I want to throw in something at the end that I think is going to be really important and helpful for you and your business, no matter what your business is. So let's jump into this. I want to pull up a website here that I like. I think it does a pretty good job. And it doesn't have all of the elements, but it has most every element. So the first element generally is just loading quickly. How fast does the site load, right? Is it going to load for people in a quick enough time to where they're not going to leave? That's the first thing. If your site is super fast, that's great. If it's fast, that's good. If it's slow, that's bad. And if it's really slow, you're losing potential customers. So you have to have a fast enough site to where it's not affecting people negatively, or otherwise you're going to have a huge issue. Okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is just being mobile friendly. So I can actually come in here and I can toggle this to mobile, and I can see here that this all looks like it works pretty well on mobile, which is very important, right? You need your site to be mobile friendly so people on the phone can get to you. I would say for most home service businesses that I work with, 60 to 75% of all of their website traffic is on the phone. So your phone, the mobile site, is more important even than just your desktop site. So that's the second thing. Now, from there, we move on to the pieces of the website that are most important. The first most important thing is just making it so easy for people to contact your business. I say you want at least 2 methods of contact. If you have a lot of younger generation users, you might want a third, or you might want to swap some of these around. Primarily, they are going to be a phone number, right? Some kind of sign up form, or an actual button that takes people to a scheduling calendar. This site doesn't have the calendar, at least not on the home page, but we have a form here, and then the phone numbers. And the phone number for most businesses, unless you have a really high average ticket, $10,000, $20,000 or more per customer that they are going to be spending, I'd say anything like, it just depends, but I'd say the lower ticket stuff, plumbing, gutters, right? These kind of businesses, people just want to call you. So we want to make sure that that phone number is really prominent. So whatever your button is, you need to have that button everywhere. So we can see here at the top. And here's a little trick. Make your buttons that you want people to see and click, make them their own color. Right? So you can see here there's only a little bit of green here. It's where we want to draw attention to people's eyes. All right? So we see down here, there's the green button, here's the green button. As I scroll, right, there's some green headers, the green button. And then we just have a lot of places where people can call. So that is number one, having a lot of signups, a lot of options for people to convert, buttons, phone calls, signups, schedule links, whatever we want, and having them all over the site so that when people want to call, it is not difficult for them to do so or contact us. So that is the next piece of this. Now we want to go to a little bit more into pushing people over the edge, right? How do we help people? How do we give people more information that they want to see if they're on the fence so we can push them over? Number one is something with your Google reviews, right? So I like to put up here, depending on the business, right? If they have a lot of reviews, I like to highlight that. If they have a 5-star, if they have a 5-star rating or a 4.9, but not as many reviews, then we'll highlight that, kind of changing that text around. But I like to put that prominently on the site. And then putting reviews, I think reviews should basically go first. And these are pretty good. I might even take them down a little bit more. You don't want your reviews to be super long. I think it's best to find reviews that have really good language that really says something to somebody in a couple words so people can just digest that quickly. So that's reviews, right? Trust building. Things that tell people you've done a good job in the past and you're likely to do a good job in the future. That's really helpful for conversions. Next, I would say we have things like badges, right? These kind of badges, I think they work well to help people understand. I think just the presence of the badges is kind of all that matters. Making them different, making them colorful, I think that works really well. Some people will care, so if you can get really interesting badges or things that people are going to recognize, that's really helpful. I think the BBB stuff is always really helpful. All right, we have some really big high-end roofing contract roofing companies here that we're showing that they make the products, right? So that's really good. And that is very helpful, I think, for the website to have those trust signals. Now, the one thing on here that I would say might help, it just depends on what you have access to. I think people like real photos, these being likely not real photos. I think people actually do like real photos as much as they do not look as good. I'm kind of up in the air on this one. I do see a lot of businesses that are really big. They tend to use real photos, but at the same time, some of those businesses are so big that their real photos are really nice. So I can go either way on this one. But I think if you can fit some real photos in, that might be something to test or to try out. So that is what I have. So let me add to this now. A couple more things from my list. Offers. I love putting something up here like specials. You can even put a section for specials if you want. But some people just want to see a special. And so make it really easy for people to see if you have any specials right now and a call button. And you can kind of test that out and see how that works for you. I like that kind of a thing. I think it can push certain people over the edge that wouldn't normally convert. So like I said, I like that. And then I would say lastly is our heat maps. You can always use like a heat map software to take this to another level where you can actually see a heat map of your site where it shows where people scroll, where people put their mouse, where they click, what they do on their phone, right? And you can get a better idea of if people are stopping at certain areas, right? So that's heat map software. So now with all of that, I think that gives you a really good idea. I think that is the majority of things, especially the first few things I talked about. Those are the things that keep people behind so much. Make sure your website works on mobile, loads fast enough. That is a big thing for most businesses. And then not having easy ways to contact you, that's another really big thing that I just see businesses missing. So solve those. Now, lastly, I'm going to throw in this bonus here, which is call tracking. Now, while not a direct conversion metric, so many businesses fail to answer their phones properly and get back to people quickly. With call tracking, you can see if you or your team members are missing calls. You can see that. So getting to the point with call tracking where you're calling people or answering all the phone calls and calling people who come in through forms quickly is going to help anyone who is converting become an estimate and raise your leads to estimates number. And now you have this system that is just going full bore. That's what I have for today. If you want to talk more about your business, you can visit brightbeamseo.com. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow.